Years ago, the Ford mass production idea spread all around the world, creating new jobs. And now, there are Ford people at work on every continent. Let's let a few of them introduce themselves.
My name is Norman Florchuk. I work on the Ford final line in the Dearborn Assembly Plant, USA.
My name is Dennis Wetherow. I work on the final assembly of the Ford Motor Works, Dagenham, England.
Mijn naam is Hugo Swabenbacher. Ik werk op de Ford Motor Company België. En het is hier het einde van de assembly line.
Meu nome é Joaquim Valença e trabalho na linha final de montagem da fábrica Ford em São Paulo.
My name is Keith Dalton. I work on the final line of the Ford Australia assembly plant.
Something you notice about Ford products around the world, they are designed to meet the needs of local customers. These are the English Fords. Here is a German Ford. And in other parts of the world, like Brazil, you see the familiar American Ford. Even at home, no one car can satisfy everyone. The modern car is a kind of living room on wheels. Mobility with style, beauty, and comfort. Changing desires and the American idea of continual progress keep engineers and stylists working in a future world where reality is laboriously constructed from the nebulous material of advanced thought. Here are dreams of graceful new power for moving us in the wider, more exciting world that is unfolding for everyone. Are these the models we will soon see on the American road? Not necessarily. These are combinations of many elements suggested for future design. The elements are developed part by Ford people who work with tangible dreams of line, design, color, fabric, and detail, as well as sculptured metal. Sculpturing begins with clay models, here in full size, kept exquisitely accurate with precise instruments. Trucks go through much the same stages as passenger cars. When any new truck or car is finally produced in metal and powered with an engine, it is turned over to the people at the proving ground. These men are the first riders the new models ever have, test drivers and engineers, whose job it is to find out how cars will perform under any and all driving conditions, and how to bring about peak performance for future owners. All the Ford people believe the particular product they help to build is a member of a family of products to be proud of. Such pride of production continues on to become pride of ownership when you take delivery of the car from the Ford people you are most apt to have contact with. The dealer, who is a businessman in your own hometown. He sells cars, to be sure, but he is offering something more. He is offering mobility and an expanded world to live in. Just what this means you know best of all when you get around the country and see the things that are shared by all free-moving travelers. Ford people themselves have provided a tourist attraction that is one of the most popular in the country. This is the Rotunda, the showplace of the auto industry at Dearborn, the birthplace of the Ford idea. Sometimes we look back to go ahead. Only a decade or so ago, there was a car that gained such wide acceptance that it became a classic in its own time. When the Ford people were ready to produce a new kind of car of tomorrow that was conceived to be the finest in the world, it had an enviable reputation before it was born, because they called it the Continental. Great new engineering in power and construction were worked out. The problem was this: how to create a new Continental with the rakish charm of the classic and still have an automobile to inspire future stylists for years to come. The design went through development stages. Finally, one that captured the best of everything emerged. (16,400 Michigan Avenue). Here took place a significant development in automotive history. On August 20, 1952, two men drove up to these old buildings. They were looking for a place to go to work on an idea. William Clay Ford already had been thinking about the idea for 2 years. He and an automotive engineer were looking for a building to set up a new organization. It had all begun back in 1939, when Edsel Ford, Bill's father, had designed a very special car. At first, it was not intended to be manufactured and sold. It was built as Edsel Ford's personal automobile. It was called the Lincoln-Continental. It became a classic in its own time. Yet in all, only 5,322 were ever built. With the tremendous demand for volume-produced automobiles after World War II, manufacture of the Continental was suspended in 1948. But it never really passed from the scene. Even fan clubs of Lincoln Continental owners were organized, and people kept asking, when are they going to start making the Continental again? Now, in 1952, the work was actually underway in the gymnasium of the old schoolhouse. There were many questions. How should this car look? Should it resemble the old Continental? Or should it be a wholly new conception? 2 points were clear. It must recapture the crisp styling of the old Continental. It must take its place at the head of an established family of fine cars. Into this new frame, a special passenger compartment was engineered with a new low roofline, but with the same amount of room inside. But when they finished this basic engineering, they had only begun. Now, they had to style it, design a new shape into which this engineering package would fit. Bill Ford had a broad styling concept, which he called modern formal. There was still more than a year ahead of exploring on this alone. Sometimes they thought they had it. And then they knew they didn't.